Let's say China.
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 China. China.
China.
There are next door neighbors, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
You go over to China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump's statement, tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes, hello and welcome. I am James Andrews and you are listening to So This Happened, the only news you need if you currently have health insurance. It's Wednesday, the 26th of July 2017, and today the Senate is set to vote on a straight repeal of Obamacare. The whole replace thing, that's not there anymore now. It's just straight repeal. Late last night, a bill failed to pass which would repeal and replace Obamacare, so they said, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just repeal the damn thing and not replace it with anything, because that seems like a really good idea. So they're set to vote on that this afternoon, and if we get a result before the end of the show, I'll bring it to you. If not, I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow. And in another major public health crisis, sperm is plunging. Technically, sperm counts are plunging. Sperm isn't necessarily plunging, but sperm counts are plunging. In a study today from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem and the Icahn School of Medicine in New York, they analysed 185 studies from 1973 to 2011, which included almost 43,000 men. The results, this is incredible, they found a 52% decline in sperm concentration and a 59% decline in total sperm count. Now, the study doesn't give a specific reason why this is happening, but they suggest some reasons, and that is an exposure to certain chemicals, especially for unborn boys in the womb. And one of them they suggest is if a pregnant mother is smoking, it has a devastating effect on the son's future sperm count. I actually have to question that one, because the study they looked at was from 1973 to 2011, and surely it would have been much earlier than that when many more pregnant women were smoking cigarettes. Sort of the 1940s, 50s and 60s is sort of where I would imagine that higher concentration of pregnant mothers having a quick fag. Cigarette. For the American audience, fag is cigarette. All right, because by the sort of 70s and certainly by the 80s and 90s, it was commonly known that if you smoked while pregnant, it was very bad for the unborn child. So I'm not sure that one is actually, I'm not a scientist, but I don't think that would be, to my unscientific mind, that one doesn't really make much sense. I think other environmental things could definitely be a factor, sort of chemicals in the water, in the soil, in our food. I mean, if you sort of look at when we started mass using pesticides, that would have been sort of right in this timeline. So I think that's probably much more likely than, sneaking a quick ciggy when you had one in the oven. And another scientist suggests that maybe those tidy-whities are to blame. Men wearing tighter underwear is to blame for this lower sperm count. So if we've learnt anything from this, it's, well, A, don't smoke if you're pregnant, and B, if you're a man and you don't want to decrease your sperm count, if you want to have powerful little soldiers, wear boxer shorts. It's really simple. So there we go. Wear boxer shorts and don't smoke when you're pregnant, and the sperm count will go right back up again. Oh, and also don't keep your cell phone in your front pocket, because I don't know. They say that the cell phone produces radiation, right? And radiation can't be good for your little swimmers. So keep your cell phone, I suppose, in your back pocket. I was going to say in your chest pocket, but if it's given radiation, you don't want it near your heart. You'd probably prefer to have it by your boys than your heart. I don't know, but just wear boxers. That's it. That'll work. And now on to a man who almost certainly wears tighty-whities, Donald Trump. Last night the president was in Ohio holding one of his infamous rallies that he still loves to do, pretending that he's on the campaign trail and not the actual president of the United States. Anyway, the Washington Post was kind enough to break it down to 3 minutes, so let's have a listen into what the press had to say last night.
Sometimes they say he doesn't act presidential. And I say, hey, look, great schools, smart guy. It's so easy to act presidential, but that's not going to get it done. In fact, I said, it's much easier, by the way, to act presidential than what we're doing here tonight, believe me. And I said, with the exception of the late, great Abraham Lincoln, I can be more presidential than any president that's ever held this office. That I can tell you.
Okay, I need to just interrupt and interject there if I can. Show of hands, who thinks Donald Trump is the most presidential president we've ever had except Abraham Lincoln? No. Is that a hand at the back? No, it's not. There are no hands there. I'm not sure where he came up with that one. I mean, I can think of, George Washington, Kennedy, Clinton, Bush, yeah, even W, Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, yes, I'll go Richard Nixon, Barack Obama, obviously. Anyway, let's let the most presidential president continue.
It's real easy. I think that with few exceptions, no president has done anywhere near what we've done in his first 6 months. Not even close. The Iran deal, which may be the single worst deal I've ever seen drawn by anybody.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there as well. He said there that he's done more in his 6 months than any other president in history. A quick fact check on that will prove that that is completely untrue. And then when he mentioned the Iran deal there, you'll notice everybody in the audience was boo, boo. I can guarantee if you ask, you could just pick anyone at random and say, hey, what was the Iran deal? They do not know.
If that deal doesn't conform to what it's supposed to conform to, there's going to be big, big problems for them. That I can tell you. You're going to see that. The ICE folks, I'll tell you what, and the Border Patrol Police, they are phenomenal people. They're working with General Kelly. And just so you understand, we've already started fixing much of the good wall that's already there. We've already started fixing. So they'll take a young, beautiful girl, 16, 15, and others, and they slice them and dice them with a knife because they want them to go through excruciating pain before they die. And these are the animals that we've been protecting for so long. Well, they're not being protected any longer, folks.
And I need to interject one more time. Donald Trump there was suggesting that immigrants to the US, particularly from Mexico, are sort of these animalistic people that just want to slice and dice young girls. The data suggests something completely different. Numerous studies have suggested that the number of immigrants incarcerated to the number of native-born Americans is significantly different. You have sort of 1.7% of undocumented immigrants being incarcerated compared to 10.7% of native-born men, and that's men without a high school diploma. So this idea that these Mexicans are coming over to slice up your daughter, it's complete fiction, and it's just designed to cause fear. And you could hear from the reaction of the crowd there, they were going, yeah, fucking kill them all. And that's extreme, but that's what was going on there. So anyway, let's let the most presidential president continue.
Longer, folks. For 7 years, every Republican running for office promised to repeal and replace this disastrous law. Now they must keep their promise. Any senator who votes against repeal and replace is telling America that they are fine with the Obamacare nightmare, and I predict they'll have a lot of problems.
So there he is again, threatening these Republican senators, essentially, if you don't vote to repeal Obamacare, you're in trouble. And I'm going to make sure. I've got some guy. Well, maybe that's what Sean Spicer's doing. He's no longer the press secretary, but he's the bloke with a baseball bat. I'm going to send fucking Sean Spicer around to your place if you don't vote to repeal. Sean? I didn't sign up for that, Donald. Don't argue with me, Sean. Okay, sorry. Thank you. And now, on to what I think is probably one of the biggest setbacks for this country in many years. And I don't say that lightly, but Donald Trump tweeted out something this morning. I'm going to read it to you, and then we'll discuss it momentarily. After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Thank you. And out of every single tweet, the thousands that Donald Trump has sent out since he came to power, that may be the most important and the most devastating one he's ever done. The LGBTQ community is the next wave of civil rights in this country. Under Barack Obama, the marriage equality was won. Gays and lesbians can marry each other. That was a huge victory. Now, Donald Trump has undone so much of that by saying that transgender people cannot serve in the military in any capacity whatsoever. So we're not just talking about soldiers on the front line or, people jumping out of aeroplanes and hiding in whatever the army do. We're talking about any branch of the US military. So analysts, doctors, nurses, engineers, scientists, anybody that's in the military, if you identify as transgender, you are no longer welcome in the United States military. And that, in my mind, is a human rights violation. And the excuse that he gives of tremendous medical costs, have you ever heard a bigger pile of bullshit than that? I don't even understand what that means. I don't understand why somebody that is transgender would have bigger medical costs than someone who isn't. That literally makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I suppose he couldn't have just tweeted out, no transgenders in the military because they're fucking weird, okay? And we don't want fucking weird people in my goddamn army, my generals. Sort of like he's playing Risk. So now they're going to change the sign, the one with Uncle Sam pointing, America wants you. It's now going to say, America wants you, unless you're a bloke in a dress. Then fuck off. Not in my army. But the really worrying thing about this, besides the fact that it's a huge human rights violation, is that now it's a very slippery slope, because you start with transgender people and then who's to say 2-3 months from now they come out and say, and we're also going to ban gay people from the army because of high medical costs, because they've all got AIDS, and the fact that they might be distracted in battle because they'll be standing there on the front line and they'll look over at their fellow soldier and go, whoa, he is very fit, very tasty, I wouldn't mind a go on that. And then they'll start daydreaming about it, and then the enemy will shoot them because they were distracted by their fellow soldier who they thought was rather attractive. Fucking bullshit, isn't it? But watch, be careful, because that is where this is going. Mark my words. You ban the transgender people, then you ban the gays in the military, and then, who knows who's next, right? Who knows? And on that sad note, we are unfortunately out of time. And this is a bad day for America. That's a bad day for human rights in general. But if you want to continue this conversation, we can do it on Twitter @SoThisHappen. If you like the podcast, please subscribe and like. And I hate to mention this, but I'm going to mention it. If you feel so moved to support the show, and this is a labour of love for me. I absolutely love sitting here and chatting with you, but there are bills to be paid. If you want to become part of the So This Happened family, you can head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/SoThisHappenedShow, and there you can sponsor us monthly if you wish to do so. And if you do, you're absolutely gorgeous. And if you don't, you're still absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, listen, it was great chatting, and we will talk again tomorrow. Thursday, only 2 days left to the weekend, people, so good night.